Hello everyone. So hope you're good. Right? Today our session would be on public administration, right? One of the probably the most infamous optionals, right? Definitely there are lot of queries and lot of doubts which need to be addressed when we talk about this subject. This subject has been at the forefront of the civil services examination since its inception. Right? In fact, even today, if a person thinks of preparing for civil services, one of the top subjects that one tends to choose from will definitely rank public administration, probably in the top three. So, what makes this subject so unique? And at the same time, what makes certain controversies in this subject? We'll talk about these things today. A lot of students, obviously, I have talked about before also, they wanted to know that what the class looks like, right? How the sound is. Definitely they will get the feel of the class today, right? And we will have a brief chit chat about public administration. As you know that the subject has a very strong practical presence in our lives. This subject is not merely a theoretical and analytical concept, right? Or what you use the word ideational. It is not just as an idea. It is not an abstract understanding of certain principles or theories. It is in fact a very wise, you can say, amalgamation, right? A kind of union of variety of knowledge which is necessary probably to govern a society. When we say govern a society, the word govern can be interpreted in various ways. Governing, when we talk about medieval times or traditional times, the governing was more concerned with the iron fist, right? Or it was more concerned with the control and the use of authority or power to somewhere subjugate the population. It was merely an usurpation of authority, an exercise of brute power over people in order to restore the sanctity of the institutions or political systems or the people who were controlling these systems. Now we have moved away from that, right? The medieval era is no more there. We are into the post-industrial phase today. And as you know, the French Revolution started, the industrialization started, the logic and reasoning became the forefront of the human existence. The civilization progressed through reason and causation rather than merely acceptance of the ideas which were probably given by the forefathers. So this entire idea of questioning things, right, and then trying to understand them in the right perspective, providing certain logic and reason for them, became the hallmark of the development of what I call the new knowledge. This new knowledge was more humanistic. It was more pro-people in nature, whether it was related to the depiction of people in the art, literature, right, or architecture, or even for that matter, the various subjects which were trying to explain the phenomena of the human civilization. Whether it was the Eastern nations or the Western nations, right? These divisions are more cultural, probably and geographical in nature. But as it comes to the understanding of the human civilization, we merely assume that whether it is East or West, both have their own ways of evolving, and none of them can be subdued compared to the other. None of them can be at a relative disadvantage from the others, no doubt. Some have evolved technologically faster than the others, but that does in no way undermine the traditional knowledge and wisdom of the non-developed societies as we use it. So, the sphere of public administration as a subject tries to understand all these complexities, because when we say governing is not a simple task. Governing is not merely an exercise of authority, right? It is probably the most logical, the most rational, the most liberal and humanistic way of using the power in order to achieve the human endeavor or the goals of the society. That is the most important aspect of authority. So the modern political systems which come after probably the rationality and the logic of the European philosophers, right, or Westerners, I would say, or even for that matter, if we go back and see the traditional knowledge and wisdom that existed in our societies, all of them somewhere have directed their effort towards understanding what could be the best possible system to govern the human beings. In fact, this has been the pertinent question even today. When we talk about the phase of governance and good governance, or pro-people good governance, or let us say e-governance for good governance, right? The ambition is same, what it was then, right? What it was in the French Revolution, what it was in the Treaty of Westphalia, what it was when the democracies were emerging in the European nations or developed nations. The ambition was same. So public administration has a wider sphere of understanding. And what we do as students, probably even as teachers, we try to somewhere subordinate this thinking to a particular kind of pattern, to a particular kind of procedure. And that is what makes the difference. Right? We try to make the subject probably more traditionalistic in nature in order to make it more predictable and easy. It is easy, no doubt. You see the ranks we have got, 14, 36, whatever, right? They have been our students and they have been quite interactive with us, and we know that how every student every year who qualifies or secures top ranks, right, how meticulously or how rigorously they go through this process. So it is not as simple as a YouTube video, right, or an influencer telling you that, okay, fine, do these things, okay, write answers this way, read these 5 books, right? Reading Mohit Bhattacharya or Nicholas Henry or Stephen Robbins or even Stillman, or for that matter CPA, R.K. Arora. These are some scholars which you might have heard their names when you probably start looking for or searching for the internet to prepare for this subject. Okay, all these books, right, I would not say they are just books having some information or facts. These are books of wisdom. They are books of intellectual inquiry. So as a student, you have to be very, you can say, cautious when you take the advice of people. You have to be very cautious when you listen to toppers. The toppers may not be able to explain their initial journey. They cut short it to the procedure they followed. But how they arrived at that procedure, nobody will tell you. Because that will have to, imbibe the entire spirit of the effort, the failures, probably the kind of struggle they went through, right, to be what they are today. So public administration is a subject which embodies the existence of society, the evolution of society, the changes which are happening today, and how we can explain them probably more, you can say, logically and rationally, and probably how we can improve the functioning of the government and the societies, not just in our nation, not just in our local community or our regional state, but globally. And that is what public administration is about. Now, if I say the term public, so people will refer to Lakshmikant and say public is government, and administrare means to serve. Fine, that is correct. But what this public means, government, which is to serve, do you find democracies, right, are serving the people? Don't you have issues of restriction on freedom, sedition, excessive use of authority, right, use of police for political vendetta, bureaucratic corruption, malpractices, nepotism, favoritism, misuse of authority on a regular basis, right from the lowest level, we call them street level bureaucrats, to the highest level, the management, the secretariat level, the policy making function, to the policy implementation, to the direct execution at the ground level. All of these levels are involved in some form of violation of the law, right? And the very rule of law, which is the basis of their authority. So what makes us use this definition that administration or administratory means to serve. It will fundamentally alter your understanding of public administration. So when I'm saying, I don't deny this definition, right? But don't imbibe it, don't just accept it without questioning it. That is the fundamental spirit of public administration, right? It wants you to question things. So let us see, we'll talk about some basic concepts like when you want to start your preparation, what should you do? You should be very well versed with the syllabus. That is the most important aspect. Fine. We have, let us say, when we talk about, like we are beginning with our with both the courses. Like for mains, obviously we have the QRP program. For PubAd, we have test series. Obviously we'll be talking about answer writing sessions separately. And we have the foundation program for 2022 starting from the 21st of October. Offline and online, both the modes are there. Right. So I would not get into too much of technicalities because I've already spoken a lot, I think. And many of you might be feeling that, okay, fine, kuch bouncer ja raha hai. So bouncer, usko maise mat lo, right? You can duck it for time being. But you must understand that why it was necessary to discuss these things, because somewhere it is important for you or for us to lay the foundation of the subject, right, which is probably the most sought after, which is scoring, right? 2013 to 16 or 12, 13, 14, 15 may be considered as a dry years, no doubt. And obviously people losing their cool, trying to not actually do what was needed for the subject. They did not try to innovate. They did not try to use the same content, the same information in probably the required or relevant mode. That was the reason. Fine. So we have tried to do that and we are getting obviously a lot of good results. There are. So if somebody asks me, not because I am teaching PubAd, but because probably I have been witnessing its transition over a period of time as a student, as an aspirant to a teacher. And it has evolved drastically, and that evolution would definitely require a student to become more conscious of the changes and the way he is tackling the subject, right? He or she, right? Tackling the subject. So, if you see this, we have like, right? We have like two papers, as you know, right? This paper 1 and paper 2. Obviously, this paper 1, I would say, is more Western, right? And this is obviously more Indian context. So the Western context, why? Because here we will be focusing more on the theoretical developments. Here we will be more understanding, right, the practical, or you can say more of applied. So no doubt this part is more dynamic in nature. This is more dynamic in nature, and obviously this part has lot of static. Fine. But unless we understand this, probably we will not be able to do justice to this part. Because this has also been a query that, okay, shall we study this first or this first? It is quite obvious that first we'll learn the ABC, the alphabets, and then probably we'll frame the sentences. Right, no doubt. When you're studying this, you may feel good that you are covering a part of your general studies also, that is good. But when it comes to writing answers in public administration and the need for integrating paper 1 with paper 2, or for that matter, I'm just saying, trying to understand the theories in the light of contemporary developments in Indian society, it becomes easy for you if you have understood this part more conceptually. That is more important. Right. So you have to think in that way that, okay, how you are going to now form a strategy so that with little effort or with less of effort, you can maximize your score. And probably that is one of the reasons that we, as a system, we have come, or we are building this system, right? we are developing the methodology for the students so that we are able to do justice to both the parts, first of all. And secondly, right, what is the contemporary requirement of this subject? Because this is like mathematics, right? If you know, it's not just knowing the formula, right? But if you know the right approach, you can reduce the length of the effort or the length or number of steps that you have to use to arrive at a solution, right? So generally what happens, students face a lot of problems here, right? And they feel that this is easy, right? Which is not correct. Okay, this is as easy as this. In fact, both are part of the same subject. This has 12 units, this has 14 units. The 14 units can be broken down to 7 to 8 units. There is a lot of overlapping in these areas, right? These 12 units definitely can be brought down to 10 units if we relate, if we integrate various topics simultaneously. Reference books are obviously many, but the best strategy would be that how we are going to integrate the best of various books. And that can only be done when we start with the basic premise that public administration is not to be mugged. Public administration is not rote learning. Public administration is what we see around us. So if we are able to, probably improve our understanding, maybe we are reading a newspaper, right? Or maybe we are talking about your subject, paper 4 of ethics, or GS paper 2, or even for that matter, internal security, disaster management, environmental governance in paper 3. If you are reading them also, right, it would be wise, it would be logical for you, probably easy for you to reduce your effort and integrate those aspects also in your subject, right? Subject obviously can be integrated there also, but I would suggest do the reverse. If you have more practical knowledge, more factual information, more probably generalized understanding of these topics, you can very well use them in this paper. And obviously the content of this paper can be very easily used there also, right? Both ways it is a win-win situation. The only important criteria is that, okay, how you have understood them. So orientation, right? For example, we say the glass is half full, it is never half full, right? So that is just about the way you are looking at it. So a subject becomes dynamic. Even a static portion which you say theories of organization, theories of management, industrial management theories, behavior theories, political theories, postmodern theories, contingency models, right? Structural contingency model, postmodernism, whatever you talk about. All these aspects become more dynamic, right? When you are trying to understand them with respect to probably your society and the current happenings which are happening. If you merely want to mug up their definition and you want to know the authors and the scholars who have contributed to them, that is very easy thing to do. But then probably your score will also dip in the same measure in the examination. So try to understand this subject is I would not say simple, but it is not complicated, it is conceptual. You need to have obviously an understanding of the vocabulary used in the subject, which can be easily done through practice and through probably taking a more liberal view, okay, rather than being very rigid about a particular topic, a particular theorist or a scholar. So take a very liberal view that, okay, how they are related to others also. I would say that is a horizontal linkage and vertical linkage. If you are able to do that, subject is very simple. Paper 2 has a lot of problem with the content. There is a lot of overlapping. So for that also we need to have a thematic coverage of this paper 2. Secondly, RC becomes a key aspect, the bedrock of paper 2. Also there are a lot of areas in paper 2, like I said, they are overlapping. So if you are understanding planning and then you are understanding local planning, if you are understanding urban development and you are talking about administrative reforms, if you are talking about police reforms, criminal justice reforms, in your prelims also there were certain questions related to them, right? And you are able to understand that, okay, fine, how the criminal justice reforms, how the police reforms are related to the human rights, how they are related to the welfare, why they are necessary even for industrial development, for investment, for FDI. You can measure it, you can compare it very easily. For example, if I say, when you look at these states like Bihar or Jharkhand, obviously they are progressing. Okay, they are prospering, no doubt. But the logic is, or UP. Right? So when you see these states, they have huge manpower, they have surplus resource also at the same time, right? But why they have not been able to outgrow these states like Tamil Nadu, or for that matter Gujarat, or even for certain other southern states? Why it is not happening? Right? Even the Northeast is progressing now, probably at a faster rate compared to them. Why it is not happening there? Because there will be certain parameters that you have to understand, right? So theory will help you describe what is the reason, and this will probably, the facts that you have, this will help you in prescribing, in giving the solution for those problems. So understanding a problem, right, and then giving a solution, this is integral, right? And that is what the beauty of public administration is, that you can give solutions, you can predict problems, and this is where there is a need for theory and practice. So if administrators are making the theories of public administration, probably they'll do much better than merely scholars making the theories, right? So there is a need for collaboration of the two, and not just paper 1 and paper 2. So you can understand this way, that this is more about the administrators, this is more about the administrative knowledge, right? So if you start understanding public administration from this simple conceptual probably point of view, right, you will do wonders in the exam. You can score very well. We have seen people scoring very well, right? When I say very well, I'm not talking about 400 or 390 or 350, right? But definitely we can score 300 or 300 plus. At least 275 to 325 we can score very easily. But definitely it will require, like I said, change in orientation, right? And at the same time, your approach towards the study of the subject, right? So we'll meet in the classes, right? And we'll see you there. Whatever doubts and queries you have, we are ready to entertain. We are starting with the batch on 21st of October, right? Definitely we have certain limitations in terms of offline seats, right? Students have asked a lot of queries. We have a class of 450 students, no doubt, but we cannot accommodate obviously all of you. So definitely the offline seats are restricted, okay, probably to a half, because there are obviously COVID guidelines we need to follow. So obviously the students, when we keep getting the queries, every day we keep getting the queries and the doubts, we'll try to resolve them over the period of time, right? We'll keep making videos, and probably this has given you at least a sense of the classroom probably and the way we are going to teach you, right? So thank you so much on the behalf of Synergy. Okay, this is Ashutosh. All the best to you.